everybody, how's it going? My name is Brady Dale, and I'm a reporter with CoinDesk, and this panel is a conversation about marketplaces and how they can enhance discovery. So just to quickly introduce everyone, to my right, I have Diana Furman. She's with a mobile wallet company called Lumi Wallet. Next to her is Karin Mikluha, who's with Auctionity, a site for auctioning NFTs. Next to her is Gauthier Zuppinger, who you heard him earlier with Non-fungible.com, a marketplace for data about discovery on NFTs. Next to him is Robbins with 0x, a protocol many of you probably heard about for helping people to create exchanges. And next to Clay is Kevin Beauregard with Ox, another auction marketplace. And last but not least, hopefully I'm getting this right at this point, is Devin Finzer with OpenSea, who we also heard from earlier, one of the big marketplaces online. So let's kick this off. And this question, I'm sure everyone will have things to say about it, but I'll just open it up to whomever. The general question. So I feel like when people come to one of these marketplaces, they kind of already know NFTs exist, so they're a little bit in the ecosystem already. What discovery are we talking about with marketplaces, and how do marketplaces grow discovery for people in this market? Anyone?
I can start.
There we go.
Yeah, so I think the way that it grows discovery is twofold. One is for net new users, I think that marketplaces will be the first place where the light bulb sort of goes off when they say, hey, I've played a game before, I've earned these assets, and now they actually have value that I can sell them for. So I think that'll be a key catalyst that marketplaces will play in terms of discovery. And the second piece is around price discovery. So these assets, unlike fungible tokens that we see today, actually don't have a predetermined price. And so I think marketplaces will play a huge role in helping folks discover, hey, what are these things worth? What's a fair price to trade 2 swords for a crypto kitty?
Mm-hmm. I couldn't agree with that more, especially on the price discovery point. Like you said, these are things that have never existed before and are fundamentally different, and so, price discovery becomes paramount. In addition to that, I think that the new users that are coming on board, the marketplaces become a potential touch point for every single application in the space, which means they also have the ability to lose users or gain users for everybody. You could see a new asset for the first time, not on the primary marketplace or not within a game, but on a marketplace that you're familiar with. And so marketplaces are going to be huge for growing this industry because they benefit every creator in the industry.
Yeah, I think as well, I fully agree with you guys. I think that marketplace are a natural place actually where user will go and buy and sell the NFTs, and they actually can bring additional functionality that marketplace will have that you wouldn't find in trading places within a game. For instance, in our case, you will find classic English auction where the highest bidder will win. So as a user, if I want to sell my NFT there, I can really get a great buck out of it. You can also have functionality where you have users playing an active role into the marketplace by, for instance, promoting the sale by hosting the 10 last minutes of the auction and making it spectacular via live streaming auction and get money for that. So definitely a marketplace have a role to play.
And just to add, I think that this serendipity is extremely important because I know that most of the people coming to our platform are coming because they have heard about Decentraland and they discover other projects and other use cases because they never heard about, I don't know, Axie Infinity or others. And they just look at the list and they say, oh, what's that? So I think that it is not helping specific projects, but the whole ecosystem.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I thought about listening to Devin's talk in particular is you come because you're interested in one particular product, you're playing some game, and you see there's all these other things out there that maybe look cool, and maybe Marketplace is going to help sort of guide people to find, other interesting stuff to play with or try or whatever. So, and speaking to that, again, returning to Devin's talk, just, with these things are all up on this public blockchain. It allows sites to just automatically discover them. No one needs to load them. They can just appear there immediately. What other ways does this decentralization, does the blockchain make these marketplaces different and interesting in new ways that we haven't seen with the web to date?
Yeah, I think I maybe touched on this a little bit or attempted to in the talk, but I think marketplaces have always had or not always, but often a parasitic relationship to the original game, right? There's a marketplace called Opskins for Steam games, and Steam is kind of never quite sure whether they want them to exist. Sometimes you can make the argument that they do expand the reach of some of the assets, but ultimately Steam is not able to benefit from that. And in theory, one could build a centralized marketplace that does a revenue share with the original game, but in practice, these things are just really difficult, right? You're essentially creating escrow accounts in Steam to actually trade these items, and there's never this kind of native exchange of value between the original game and the marketplace. I think blockchain gives us the potential to do that, to experiment with those types of collaborative business models where the game is actually incentivized to drive third-party marketplace trading, because every time an item is traded on a third-party marketplace, they actually receive some of the cut. So there's all sorts of interesting business models to play with.
I think it also changes the perspective of the game developer, because creating an economy that is fundamentally an open economy within a game is much more difficult than creating a completely siloed economy. When you look at like Diablo 3 tried to have an open marketplace as part of its gameplay. Prior to non-fungible tokens existing, they had a really hard time because they disincentivized people from playing the game. Everybody just wanted to trade on the marketplace where they could make money. So, we're changing the way that people build games, and as a result, the benefits to that are huge, but there's also a lot of risk there, because you have to make sure that you're maintaining balance and you're still incentivizing people to use the thing, not just speculate on it.
Well, coming from an auction world, we actually came across a problematic, which was that the lack of trust between parties. And for instance, the seller, which was a bit afraid of not getting the money that he was actually selling the item for, or the buyer not getting the item he actually purchased. And by using blockchain technology and smart contracts, we actually could establish and implement a payment and delivery guarantee for both parties, those established and trust. So yes, indeed, blockchain brings to a marketplace, this type of insight in it, and really make it sure that people will use it even more. So that's really what we're looking for as well.
So with our two auction sites, a question I wondered about for you guys is, do people who go to auction an NFT on your sites, do they need to go into your specific smart contract to do that, or is it like an open auction that could theoretically appear on any site that does the same thing?
So it is through a specific contract, but those orders could appear anywhere.
Okay.
So
So we could bid against each other on different websites, in theory.
In theory,
Okay.
yeah, for sure.
Whereas for us, it's not so. So where you actually put your NFT into escrow into our account, that's where you will see where the smart contract and all the activity on it. And once it's there, that's where actually is underlying technology that you can guarantee that the buyer will get that NFT because it's not for sale anywhere else.
Ours is similar to OpenSea's.
Cool. So let's give everybody a chance to sort of talk broadly about this ecosystem. Can we just go down the line? We can start with Diana and have folks give an example of something they've seen another company in the space do that they think has been impressive and has helped to enhance discovery for users in NFT. Diana, you can start off.
Yeah, actually, I think that from the wallet perspective, when you discover any NFT, it's the entry point to have the wallet to get to OpenSea or to Actionity or to any other auction places. You always need to have your private keys where you have all your tokens and you interact with these marketplaces. So nowadays, the main entry point for all your users is MetaMask from desktop, but I believe that all these marketplaces are more useful from mobile, and so I really believe that it's better to integrate with wallets to make it available for all these auctions be in one place. So I consider to be a wallet as a marketplace. For marketplaces, it sounds weird, but you just combine it all in one place, and user can do not need to log in to register to on each of your places, marketplaces. It just in one place. So this is really essential, as I think.
Well, I think that OpenSea onboarding tools for which I gear for developers, they are really fantastic in a way that they enable developers to list their NFT in a very easy way, a great documentation. So that will be an innovation that I will mention. There are also other players not represented here today, but Nifty Gateway, for instance, they do offer possibility for users to buy NFTs using just regular currency, what we call fiat currencies with a credit card. And that's also a major factor in user adoption.
Yeah, I was about to talk about them precisely, but that's not the issue. No, yeah, I really think that what the build about UX is extremely important, and as well about Lumi, and the fact that you can access all your assets on your mobile directly is the next step of adoption, because just having to connect to MetaMask and just log in and be sure you have the right private key and things like that are extremely painful for the UX. And I think the next step will be, maybe in few months or years, to access all your assets directly from your mobile and maybe interact with them, I don't know, maybe in augmented reality or something like that. I think this is the next step.
Actually, I think that when you ask user to install something like a web extension, for a normal person, it is like a what's a web extension? Even for me, I didn't know what this. And so I really think that if you suggest your user just to click like, hello, I'm logged in, and that's it, and I can use all your products from mobile with no logging anywhere, it's much easier, because people are used to use applications, but they are not used to use web extensions or something. So it's really much easier to adopt, and so that's true.
Well, you guys took all my examples, so I guess I'll go with bundled transactions. I think that those are something that's really interesting, because it's the first time that we can have disparate assets across different game titles be traded and owned in the context of marketplaces. And I think that is sort of the first step towards interoperability. And I also think that it's an interesting problem, personally. I think it's an interesting problem to solve from a price discovery standpoint. So we'll start to see marketplaces evolve around these bundled transactions where you need something like a conversational interface to figure out, hey, what is a fair price for these two different bundles of assets to be traded?
Well, now you all really took all my answers. But I'll go back to Devin's presentation earlier, and just OpenSea's customization piece, where a creator can customize the look and feel of their storefront. Again, I think that that ability, because a marketplace can be a touch point for so many applications. A marketplace could fundamentally lose users for an application if they represented it in a poor way. And so putting that back in the creator's hands and saying you can create your own storefront and make that appear the way you want it to feel, and you can represent your brand in the way that you want it to be, that becomes a very powerful tool.
May I also add about the marketplaces? Thanks to OpenSea, for example, it is a place where all games or all projects are coming, and they provide the access to their items. And for example, for me, for my project, I don't interact that much with each particular project, and I just use API of OpenSea, which already accumulated all assets. And for any application or any product to interact with marketplaces is a really cool thing, because it might make it easier to develop my own product and not to think about how to interact with each particular project here.
On my end, I think I've just been impressed with the number of projects over the last year that have just gone quick to market and shipped real valuable stuff in the space. So for example, Auctionity, I think we were super impressed to just see them push out a product, and an interesting piece of that was because there's this auctioneer associated with the auction, it gives this sort of real life feeling of the collectible. which is something that was completely new to the space and adds a lot of value to the ecosystem. So that's super impressive. I think all the other ones have been kind of said, but Nifty Gateway has been moving really fast to provide kind of a fiat on-ramp, so that's awesome. And then the other ones I'm particularly excited about now are just the new sort of wallets in the space, including some of the MetaMask competitors for desktop as well.
I guess we should give a shout out to all the folks who are making NFTs and inspiring people to visit these marketplaces. So I guess those are good too. So on that note, there was a story, I guess late last year, early this year, I can't remember, but a game, War Riders, had gotten a special spot inside the Coinbase wallet. They were sort of building it out to kind of give accent to that game and kind of promote it a little bit. And then the Apple Store made them take it out because Apple's weird about crypto still. And so that was drama, and I think ultimately it was kind of better for War Riders than anything else because they got a lot of attention for it. But it made me wonder, and I guess I'd like to ask this to you guys, is how important are these larger marketplaces like the Apple Store, the Google Play Store, Facebook, whatever, these giant protocols? How important are they to this space growing, and how much of a problem could they be?
May I answer this question? For me, App Store is real trouble because every time we are uploading new version, they have something to reject. Right now, I understand why they consider all this transaction to be an in-app purchase, because really projects benefit from this, we benefit from this, but App Store, this is their place, but they do not benefit. Of course, they're angry about this, but they still haven't implemented any profit sharing from crypto, and that's the real challenge for them, because if they want us to call it in-app, they just need to make something to integrate. And I don't care, I really want to integrate with them. The problem is they do not provide this, so I hope that they will change it soon.
I'm pretty sure that those protocols and those big platforms will play a huge role in adoption, because when you have something like 1 billion users like Facebook, if Facebook says, okay, we like NFTs and we like to sponsor or to push those projects, it's going to be huge. But I'm pretty sure as well that they won't take the risk. So they'll wait for maybe little companies and little platforms to take the risks for them. I know that Google banned the crypto advertising for a time, and it's the same for the App Store, as you said. So I'm pretty sure that in maybe 2 or 3 years, you'll find NFTs, you'll find real crypto games on those platforms, but they will never take the risk.
Yeah, I think in the short term they're going to be a necessary evil. They're glorified toll booths that everyone's going to have to deal with to get to distribution. But my point of view is that in the long run, we're sort of at peak rent seeking in terms of these platforms. You've seen folks like Epic Games roll out their own store that's undercutting the 30% that Apple and Google are taking. And so I hope over the long run that trend continues downward. And at the end of the day, that the conclusion that everyone will reach is that, well, open secondary markets are probably the model that works, and these walled gardens are not necessarily the model that we need to follow going forward. So that's my hope. Maybe it's a little overly optimistic, but we'll see.
The other marketplace that's going to be a big hurdle is Steam, and like you mentioned with Opskins, and whether they should or shouldn't exist, is something that Steam has always struggled with. But when it comes to AAA gaming and getting really big titles out with from larger studios, the Steam store hurdle will be the one of the bigger ones as well.
Can we imagine if like Apple and Steam did start accepting these things and started taking a little bit of profit in crypto, shaving off a few Satoshis off of every sale? What an epic hacker target that would be. Like, that wallet would be the most sought after wallet in the world. That would be an amazing thing to watch. All right, well, thanks a ton, everybody. That's been our marketplace panel. Thanks to everyone here. And yeah, on to the next group.
Thank you.